Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to see what I've got for you today. It's Sunday, the 7th of July, and I have just had the most wonderful afternoon with some of my crafting ladies, and we made some cards using the Tattered Lace magazine dies. Now, a lot of us have them, a lot of us don't use them, because we move on to the newer stuff. And what I've been trying to do with a lot of my ladies is to get everyone to use the stash we have. So I get you to bring out back some of the things we had. Now I'm going to show you what we came up with, what we did today. And then I'm going to do some more with you to teach you a couple of techniques I've used in these cards. But at the same time, I might do them slightly different to show you how easy it is to make something a little bit different from the one you did previously. So this is a little card. I've used the die from one of the magazines, and when we come to use it again, I'll tell you which magazine it was from. Happy birthday is a message I had in my stash. These messages, actually, I bought them many, many years ago from the Poundland or somewhere like that. And I never used them because I usually make my own. And today I thought, well, they're there. We need to get rid of them. So here goes. I'm going to use them. So that's card number one. This is another card that I've created. And on this one, I brought out my embossing folders. I brought out some spellbinder dies. So these were dies that I had for ages again. In fact, if you look for any of these videos, it might any YouTube videos on using that particular set, it will tell you it's been there about 6-7 years, if not 8. So I had them a long time, used them a lot, but today I thought they're going to come out again. And this is another die that came from the Tattered Lace magazine. Right. They're all from Tattered Lace magazine, so I don't have to keep repeating the same. So again, look, I picked up, I know this was from magazine number 60. I did several layers. So I cut one from here. One is full, one from here, and then I cut the boot bit. Then I've got another one cut from here, from where the hands are. And I even cut the S and layered it. And I'm going to show you how I do it so that it comes off paper like that. So you can see the shadow. You can see how nice that has turned out. Thanks. I did it, which I've got some videos, previous videos, to how to make them. That is foiled tanks that I have the dies for, or foiling dies for, and use the Spellbinders glimmer machine. I did this one. Now, when I did this, I made a little mistake. What was it? I've cut the die, so it comes with the holes. And then I thought if I cut the outside on its own, it will give me the background, which will then continue the flower, so you can see the color inside. That was the purpose of what I wanted to do. However, I then cut it to elevate it, which I'll show you how when we start doing the card. But when I came to stick it to the back lifter using foam, what happened is I stuck it the wrong way around. So I ended up with glue all over the front. And I nearly was going to throw it away when all of a sudden I thought, no, Susan, don't throw anything away. If you bring in some sparkly diamonds, which you can see there. Let's see if I can, there it goes, look. If I put that on, that will make it nice and sparkly, and that's how it came out, and it really, really turned out nice. Again, I used an embossing folder, used some inking around it, and one of my usual dies. Then I've put a few drops there. That was another one. And I went for this one. And those of you who remember that Spellbinders, they even had what they call the gold set, which you can put in. This will have like the square. Then you'll have the other squares that will make the design, and you can see it there. I mean, it's a little bit difficult to see it on the computer, but all this is created by those gold set dies. Can't remember what the name was. I don't keep the names with my dies, and I'm not affiliated with anyone, so I never thought I would need to really keep all the names and everything, which I didn't at the time, and they are all dies. So there you go. I created this, putting a bit of a square in Miricard, and I created that lovely die CD layers that I've got there, and that's another card. Then I created, well, actually, I created this one next, and I used the dies come from Carnation Crafts. I'm sure it was Carnation Crafts. And again, look, I've got, this was a girl from the dies on the Tattered Lace magazines, and again used my many designs I've got, and there you go. It's a lovely little card. I've got somebody in mind who will be getting that. Then I did another one, and what I did, not only did I do it with the birds, I had a border die there from Spellbinders. I also cut a flower, and I made it a little bit 3D. So there you go. I've got a lovely die. And then I just didn't know how I was going to deal with the center. It was going to be all one color. So what I did, I filled it up with a little bit of glue and stuck some glitter on it. And that's another card that I have created. And I'm going to show you one of the tips that I'm going to give you today. Okay, so when you cut, I've got them in here. These are the papers, because I don't just print one to make one card. I tend to enjoy making more when I'm doing these. So firstly, this is how I sorted my dies. I will explain. So that die that you see here, that comes from Tattered Lace magazine. If I turn it round, it will tell me magazine M76. So I know which file I need to be able to print the charisma that goes with it. This was 67 or 68, I can't remember, 68. So this flower is from magazine 68. There were two pieces. So again, I both give them the number 68. So every die I've got, I told you the boy is number 60. For anybody who would like to know what the others are, I will quickly tell you, because I've got them all here. So these were all to do with the birds. See, I've got loads, so I can do as few or as many as I wish. So that was the bird one, and it was magazine 76. This one is the heart, and that came from magazine 69. So I always used to put the number on. So when I come to do my charisma, I know which file I'm going to need, and it makes life a lot easier, I should say. Now, magazine 71, that's the card that I used with the beer bottle and the pirates. So that's the other one. So that goes with this one. And all I have is 2 sheets and that black or brown foam. That was 60. I told you that that came from number 60. I had them a long time. I need to start getting a pen. This is how I do it. So if I get I had one here. Let's see if I can find it. I know I've put it in here earlier because I was doing the session. Let's see, M60 with a Sharpie that doesn't that's permanent, and that will, I'll leave it to dry, and that will now be ready for when I want to use it. The girl, let me find the girl. Here she is. She was from magazine number 52. So if any of you are watching this video have these dies and you haven't used them for ages, and ages, I'm just reminding you what you have, basically. Now I've got that one, and we already said that that was from number 68. In fact, what I'm going to do is just put in M68 so I can see it, because it's going a little bit fine there. So that's how they go, okay? Now I'm going to start my first card. Let's see what we can use from here. I can try this one. Okay, I'm going to start with that one. That girl. I'll show you how easy it is to create a card from something that is not much of a, I mean, they're beautiful dies. Okay, the dies are absolutely gorgeous. What I am thinking of is the not too many papers and stuff, so you can easily do them. I also like to use these fun foam, and what I use them for is, I'll show you. Let's start with the die first. So I'm going to get a scissors, and I tend to cut these smaller. All of that. Makes it easier to go into my die cutting machine. And what I do, I'll take my die, take a bit of tape, I'm just wondering, because I know I took my tape in with something else earlier, so I'm going to get some washi tape. Let's see if this is still good. I'm going to take a bit of washi tape. I'm going to place my die right where it should be, like so. And when I'm happy with the positioning of it, I just put a bit of tape there. And a bit of tape down below. And the reason for it, so if I see that I need to turn it or anything, that will stay together. That's the important bit. So I'm going to pass it through. I've got the side here, I have my Sizzix Big Shot. I'm going to put it on there. I've got the sandwich that I normally use, and I'm going to pass it through. So whatever machine you have, just see what you normally use for a sandwich and just pass it one in and one back out. And now that is ready out of my, there it goes. Look how nice that is. Looks like it's got it all around, so I can take it off. So that's my first bit. Now, next I'm going to show you, and these are for people, I mean, you can use any dies, any pictures, whatever you have. So I'm not telling you you need to have the magazines to be able to do a card like this, not at all. Whatever dies you have, if you've got charisma with them, or you can draw them yourself if you like coloring. So it depends on what you have. I always say, what one does with what they got, everybody can do with what they have. So I'm going to take it through like so. There's a couple of pieces in the hair, which I'm going to take out. One, and I know there was another one. If I put it backwards, I can see it there too. The socks, this bit, I'm going to leave in there, okay? So that's my die ready to be used. However, this is one thing I like to do. Whatever color I'm using, I'll use a piece of foam, same color. I like to use the same color because it is, I find it much nicer when you put it on the card. And I'm going to just pass this. Now, when you pass foam through your die cutting machine, I try to pass it just once. Because if you go one way and then come back the other, what will happen? You will end up like stretching it, and it does not come as good as when you only pass it once. So I'm going one way. Look, you can see my hand going one way. I'm going to pull it out. That's enough. Now, that's going to cut the same die. Okay? Now, some of my ladies said, oh, I never cut foam with my die. Yes, you can cut foam with any die. What I'm going to do with it is get it out. Look, it cuts really nicely. So I'm going to get it nicely out. Let's just go all the way around. Just be careful where you've got pieces that are a little bit entwined, like where the hair is. You don't want to tear it. Let's see, that's all right, that's there. And there's the gap. Now, there are two pieces, 1, 2, which were in the hair like the other one. And I'm going to take them out. Just the pieces that need to be taken out. If I bring in my tool, push it through, that's it. So that is quite nice as it is. Now, why did I do that? Look what I tend to do next. I use bookbinding glue. I'm going to put some on top. Before I put it, there's a bit between her legs that I need to cut out. Yeah, it's been cut there, so it doesn't matter. I didn't put any glue on it, so if it doesn't, I can get it out afterwards. So I'm going to put it there, like so. And that will now stick to the piece I've got. And I can take this, and look, I've got a piece here, which I didn't take out. So I can take it out now. And I got the bit where her legs are, and I can take that out. And now that gives me a nice, like, thickness. So when I put it on my card, that's nice, solid, and it looks quite more interesting than if it was just a piece of paper. And they don't cost much to use that foam. So that was one ready. Now, the next bit, you can decide. Do you want to use cut it rectangular? Do you want to use a die? It's entirely up to you. If you've got dies, right now that's not going to fit there. So I haven't got enough to get that done. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to take a piece of white card, just because I don't have enough of this. So I'm going to take a piece of white card. So let's get one from the side, and I'm going to cut it. Now, when I cut, I don't like measuring. So what I tend to do is this, and it's quite simple and easy to do. I get a pencil. Let me get that out of the way. I get my pencil. If I can see where my pencil is gone. Or a pen. I found the pen. I rather do a pencil, but it does not really matter. Oh, here it is. It was in front of me. Right, so I'm going to place that there, like so. Okay. And I'm going to draw a line there. And a line there. Just to have an idea of where I need to cut. Now, with my caterpillar. I'm going to go there, but I'm not cutting there. I'm going to go inward a little to have about a centimetre less. Now, the reason I do that, it might then give me enough room for doing another one. So at least I get two out of my piece of A4. And then I come here, and there's where the line is. But again, I need to go in a little bit. So I just move it a little bit that way. And I think that should be more or less okay. Sometimes I do a little bit less. It does not really matter that much. I'm not going to say, oh, it's a little bit too small. Look, it went perfect. Can you see? The more you do, the more you know that you're going to get it to the right place. Now, what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to find one of my, I've got loads of different, I've got many more. Embossing folders, that's numbers. That's a nice one. Let's have a look and see what we've got. Oh, I love this. I'm going to do this one for this. So I'm going to take this embossing folder. Much love. I'm going to place my embossing folder on. These are embossing folders by Spellbinders. You can do them either that way or you can do them this way. I'm going to do this side. Now, if it is white, you don't need to worry about which is going to be embossed and which is going to be debossed. If you had a paper with color or a design, the side of the design you want needs to be facing the bit that is in. So when this pushes it in, you'll get the embossed side on the colored side, if that makes sense. So that would be the top and your color will be this way, okay? But white, you don't have to worry about it because with white, it just goes through, no problem. I can't remember about the, what's it I need for this one? No, that's too much. I need to take out either one plate or maybe two small shims from the, let's see how that feels. That's too little. So I need, where mine went. Less than that? No, they're the same. So I need a head, one of those embossing. I've done an afternoon of crafting, took everything out, and now, you know what? I forgot what I was using. So I'm going to take these two shims off. 1, 2, okay? And see if I can pass it with just those two. And see what happens. See if it works. So again, I'm just placing it there. I'm going to see if it goes through. If it goes through, that's fine. It's still thick. I've got something which is not quite how I'd like it. Different embossing folders will have different layers. So sometimes that could be a bit of a problem. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a couple of shims because that's all it needs. But I place them, you have to find out what your machine uses. I've been doing, but I haven't used the white embossing folders today. So obviously I can't remember how I used to when I used to use them, what I used. There it goes. I've got a bit of more there. So I'm going to go through, pass it out again, and we'll see how it looks. If it's not good enough, it's only a piece of card, and I'll do it again. But I think that should have done it. Yes, look at that, how beautiful that is. So at the end, what I used was this, my whole platform, a couple of pieces of thick paper, and one plate, and it did it nicely. So that's my piece that I'm going to be using. Now, for that one, I know the girl is, yeah, let's use red. Now, I usually use these and I've got some on order, but I can't find what I did with my red one. So for this particular one, I'm going to use a piece of foam. I usually use my brushes. I think they are much easier to use, and I quite like them as well. So I'm going to bring in a piece of card, rubbish card. When they send me things, all I do is I don't throw them away. I just keep them just purely so I can use them on when I'm doing this kind of thing. So I'm going to take a bit of color. Now I always start on the paper into my card, right? I want a bit of color because I want it to be contrasting, but I don't like to start on it because if you start on it, you get blobs on there. And like that, look, you'll get it all more evenly spread. So I start on the paper into my card. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Again, I'm going to leave a bit of white for it. So that's, I think that would do nicely. It gave it that little bit. Now, why did I want that? Because when I place it on top of my, make sure I haven't got anything to dirty my card with. When I place it on top of my card, like so, it is going to have that edge. If it was white on white, you can't really see it there. So I'm going to stick this to my card. Okay. I'm going to go with my glue. I use two main types of glue. I use the book binding, which I like, but it doesn't give you much wiggle time. Although you get some, but not as much as the Collall glue. I love my Collall glue. And in fact, I buy it by the gallon because I use it a lot. And that is exactly where I'm placing it today. Okay, so that's going to go there. And there you go. I got my piece ready. Now, I can do another layer, but you know what? If I did something in the middle, that's going to hide so much of that beautiful design. So I'm going to place the hair in the center there on the white area. And that instantly gave me a really nice little card. So what I'm going to do, before I stick her in the center there, I'm going to see what I'm going to use for a sentiment. Then once I decide on the sentiment, I will decide where she's going to get stuck. Now, I make a lot of sentiments. I like thank you cards because I do leave them in my handbag. And when I go out, anybody that does anything, I'll give them a card. So anybody who's nice, they get a card. You know, when you go to a restaurant or something like that, people tend to do that extra mile for you, whatever. And for that reason, I then like to give them. If you've got a niece, nephew, or niece, you're my favorite. So you can have something like that. But at the moment, I'm trying to look for something straight that can go on there. Not too big because the card is small and I haven't got that much room. So I can't do too much on it. And also I'm trying to find something that looks with the same colorish thing. It's a bit too big. Let's see what I can find. I keep all my, you make me smile. Oh, that would look nice there, look. Let's see, what color is it? It's red. So that would look nice there. And I'm gonna put it there. You make me smile. And I think that makes a really nice little card. So for the next thing, I might want it lifted, so I'm going to stick this first. I'm going to place all my colors. I see a bit in the hair there that can come out. I'll get it out before I stick everything on. So I'm going to put some glue. Butterfly, turn it over. Decide where you're going to stick her. So I'm going to place her in the middle a little bit up. The reason I went a little bit further up than I did before is to have a bit more wiggle room where I can put my sentiment. And then you make me smile. You can do one of two things. You can either do it flat, or if you want, you can use something like, I like these strips. They're quite good for sentiments. They're quite good for certain things we do. So I use them for different kinds of uses. So I'm going to stick that on, like so. I keep that bit because that can be used again somewhere else. So you make me smile. This was done using either the Glimmer by Spellbinders or the Go Press foil. I've got the two and depend on what lesson I was doing at the time. So here goes, that's stuck there. And here is my first card for you, card number 1, that we just quickly created to show you, give you ideas of what you can do with what you have. I bet a lot of you have that folder, and a lot of you have those dies. And I'll also bet that a lot of us don't get them out because they are old. We always buy the new ones, and the old ones find a place on the shelf. What's the point of having them if you never do anything with them? And there you go. How cute did that come? So that's my first card for you. I'm going to do a quick other one, otherwise the video will be too long. And this time, let me see quickly which one I'm going to do for you. And we will carry on with our next card in a second. So let me quickly get my folder again. I keep them in a folder while I'm working, so it will be easy. Firstly, I'll put everything back in, because I still got pieces. Look, I can still use with the girl. So if I pick it up, put it in. And the other thing is, when I'm doing it, I'm gonna need to make sure I've put all my dies back in. So I'll put them in there and I know I'm ready. Now I'm gonna bring this out to show you how I did the bit that I had where I said it's embossed. I embossed it. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly show you how I did them. Again, it's not gonna take us a long time, but you will see how nice it will turn up. And I'm gonna do it different to the one I did before. Let me remind you which one I did earlier. It was this one. So that's the one I did earlier, okay? I'm gonna do something similar. So I quite like how these are turning out. And I find them quite enjoyable to make anyway. So first I'm gonna cut the three dies. So let's get my plate, put it on there, take the paper out, and I'm gonna cut my first one. To make sure it fits easy in my die cutting machine, I'm just gonna take a scissors and I'm going to cut it out. I always like to put a bit of tape on it, okay? I'd rather have a bit of tape than it moves, and then you ruin it basically. So 1, 2, something like that. That's enough. Let's get rid of that. And I'm gonna place it on here. Now, Next step, I'm going to pass it through my machine in and out. I'm going to go in and out. Get out. Check that it's all being cut nicely. So that's my first one. Okay, so that's the boy or person that I've got there. And I'm going to take this off. I'm going to quickly do the same with the other two. So that's one. And again, look, this was magazine 60. If you have the magazines and like to do something similar, you would know how I did that. So again, I'm going to take a bit of washi tape. Just to keep it in place. And I'm going to pass it quickly through. When you place it a little bit at an angle on your plates, it goes through, it cuts better, and also it does not, how do I say, it doesn't have that bump when you do it. So let's have a look. That's all cut nicely. So that's the other one. And then I'm going to do the third one. There were 6 on there. Usually I try to print a mixture of colors, but because I've done them all the same, I thought, you know what, I'll use 3 to layer them up, and that's what I'm going to show you. Once that's done, which will not take us that long, I'm going to cut 3 foam bits, okay? Or you can, just one will do. I'll do 1 foam bit. That's done. And I need 1 foam bit for the back. Again, you can use any color, but of course, if you got the color that matches the card you're making, that is even better, okay? Although I just bought a lot of white ones because sometimes white can do nicely as well. So I'm going to place it there. Let me see, there. I'm going to cut a bit off. And I'm just going to pass it once. Remember, with this, do not come back. So go one way and that's done. Don't try to come back because it will sort of stretch it. So just once and it should have cut nicely, which it did. Okay. That's my first one. And I only need 1 this time. So I'll show you how I'm going to do this. So first, that's very easy. I'll place it in the right position. I'll just take that and I'm going to stick it on top. I'm going to do that. We do buy new stuff with my ladies, but most of the time I try to get them to use what they have. That's my mission. Use what we have. So I'm going to stick that right to where it needs to go and leave it on so that it will have that nice design there. Okay. Needs to come down a little. I'm going to push it down a little. There it goes. That's done. That's done. And it has, even though I passed it only once, it still has stretched a little. But you know what? I'm going to stretch it back into place. So something like that. And that's why I like to use the same color, because if I've got a little bit down here, it's part of the design and nobody's going to, especially, I mean, when you give cards to non-card makers, they're not going to know that. Okay, so that's my design, nice and ready. Now with these, what I did in the other one is take a small scissors. Let's see where my nice ones are. I can use this one. Right. I'm gonna cut the radio out. Now these already have, you just cut a little and they come off because they are already, they already taught about that, okay? So here I'm gonna cut around where the shoe is. The other one. And it's already got a lot of it cut. It's like they knew people would want to do that. And then I'm gonna cut off where his trousers is. Okay, so that's done. Now that's gonna be stuck on top of this one. Now sometimes I use Pinflair glue. I'm not using it today because it depends on what kind of cards I'm making. If they're easy, simple cards, they don't need all that attention. If I'm doing a card that's more intricate, more maybe made to order or for somebody special, then in that case, I will use Pinflair and I will make sure it's all done, made to measure, like worked and everything. But these are very simple, easy to make cards, which I'm not too bothered about which way I'm going to do it. They still come nice. As you've seen in the other ones, they worked well. There you go. That's going to go there. And that's going to come here. So that's the shoe. Okay, so that's done. Now with my third one, I'm going to cut where his arms are. And you'll find that a lot of it will already be cut. So there will be like just tiny bits of allowing it to stick together. And if you do it properly, you can easily just cut those pieces out. They've done them in a way that it will work perfectly. Okay, so now again, I'm going to take those, bit of glue, if you are enjoying this, if you think you would like to see more from me, please do give us a thumbs up. That encourages me to do some more. And let me know by writing maybe a comment in my comment. It really helps the algorithm. And I am trying to, if you can share it for me, because I am trying to get more people to follow my channel so I can do more and more as we go along. Now, next bit, what I'm going to do, it's quite nice. On the other one, I did half of it in plain. This one, you know what, I'm going to do it the whole lot. So if I take a card, I can check the size. I do it from the back usually. How, so we're there. So I'll go round with my pencil if I find where I left it. If not, I'll use a pen. It does not matter really, because I will cut smaller than what. That is why I don't mind whether it's a pen or a pencil. As long as I don't go on my card, it will not really matter. So I'll use one of my pens. So that goes there. That goes there. That goes there. And that goes there. That gives me an idea of where the size of the card is. So I'm going to take my cutter. I'm going to come here and I'm going to cut a little bit less than where the line is. Turn it round, and I'm going to cut a little bit less than where the card is, like that. Then I'm going to come here and cut it straight there. Get the pen out. And then come here, and I'm going to do it a little bit less here as well. Something like so. I roughly know where I need to be, although I don't measure, okay? Doesn't matter, because first, it's only a piece of paper, I always say. I can always print another one, if anything. And when you do it too many times, you then sort of know where I'm going to place it. So there you go. Look, by doing it that way, I can still cut a little bit off the edge. In fact, I'm going to cut a little bit from the top because the wall seems to be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go there, cut a little bit off here. In fact, it should be somewhere there, like that. And I am now okay. If you like to know the exact size measurement, what you can do once you do one, because everybody has different card sizes. Mine is about 5 by 7, but you know what? What I tend to do, if it's something I use all the time, I just put a little mark on my cutter, and then I know roughly where I have to be. If you cut a little bit at a time, you don't go smaller than you need to. I mean, if you start with a bigger size, you can always cut a bit off. But if you go too small, then that's where you have to improvise. Because I always say, do not waste, because there's always a way around whatever mistakes you do. And this comes by experience. So for the beginners, you'll know there's always a way around it. So he's going to come here, like so this time. Because on the other one, look, I had him on the other side. So I'm going to have him there. Okay. And after I stick him there, I'm going to go and get another sentiment. That will go nicely with this one. That's going to come somewhere here. Stick him on. Now I need to find another sentiment. I could do a thank you, or I could do any other type. Happy birthday, whatever. So that I know I can give it to someone. I've got loads of young people in the family that I can give it to. And let's see this happy birthday. I think it's a little bit, well, maybe. You know what? I'm going to place that one there because he's got exactly the right space for it. So if I take that one, I can either lift it up by using some of my foam pads, or you can just do it flat. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to lift it up a little, like that. The one there. And again, if you're interested in these, how I do my sentiments, I've got loads of different ones. Sometimes I do them in color. Sometimes I do them white. I always try to foil, but when I don't, I do them in white. And then if I'm doing this one and it had happy birthday in white cut, right? What I would do is get my Pro markers out, find a color that match with my card, and just color the wording, leaving the background white. So it will be white on white and colored only when I'm ready to use it and know what color I need. So here goes. That is my other little card ready there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly remind you of what cards I've made. The technique was always the same. Okay, so that was the one I did now with you on video, whereas this one was the one I did before. Can you see? Same die, same kind of paper, but I got two completely different cards. That was a birthday one I did during the lesson this afternoon. This was the one I did in preparation of the lesson. So as you can see, two same die, different Same technique, different outcome. That is the one I did earlier. And that's the one I did on the video now. You see the difference? It's the same card, but it makes such a difference when you look at them. Then I had that one. So that was the one I did with the flowers. That's the one I did with the heart. And last but not least, that was the boy or man birthday card that I have completed. I hope you like the ideas I had for you today, and I hope I'll see you on the next video. Please remember to like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and let me know what you think of what I've been making for you so that I can be encouraged to do some more and show you how you can use all the dies we have that have been gathering dust on our shelf for a long time. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing it for you. And I'll see you again soon. From Susan. Bye-bye.